as we're recording, and then
Hmm.
like this first part, I can just cut it out here. All right, everything still clear and good for you?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, let's hit it. Welcome to Launch One with Mason Springer. I'm Mason Springer. Today we're joined with Roland Deason. Roland is a professional archer, shoots several different disciplines, and he's taught me a lot about all kinds of stuff. Definitely made me a better archer. But yeah, Roland, thanks for joining me today, and I'm excited to talk about some target archery.
Thanks for having me on. Me too.
Yeah, so I mean, one big thing that I know we talked a lot about last summer, I believe, was getting my arrow setup dialed in for like FITA 50-meter type stuff. I'd never run micro diameter X10s, anything like that, and just getting those dialed in, doing the whole group tuning and everything. That kind of blew my mind, and I'm about ready to do that again this year for my FITA setup over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, you're getting ready for Buckeye, aren't you?
Yep, yeah. So Buckeye is, it's only about an hour from my house, but it's a good tournament. Are you gonna be there this year?
I think so, yeah. I might my the next one I have on my schedule is Metropolis, but that one might not happen for other reasons. But yeah, I think Buckeye will for sure be on there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice. And you're from what state is it?
Iowa. So not crazy far. I mean it sucks with the time change, ironic enough, but I think it's like 9 hour drive or something like that. So we usually leave like I think it's Thursday night or something like that, and then drive the rest of the morning on Friday.
Okay,
But
yeah, yeah. I know. There's several good shooters at your local shop, right? I know. I
yep.
met was it Zach last year?
Yep,
Um,
Zach Bissinger, Barebow. Now he's gonna actually shoot Buckeye and Olympic recurve, by the way. But yeah,
Really? What's
yeah.
the change there? I mean, I've never really heard of guys crossing over too much. Is it much different from barebow?
Uh, it seems like it's pretty different for him. He feels like the alignment's kind of weird, which is funny. Like you would think that Olympic alignment would be easier, but like just being out of the job. But I guess like being up here, it's almost like you can get back like a little bit more, and so it feels like you get around more. But I don't know. But and then you have the clicker as opposed to like deciding like most barebow just kind of basically punch, I guess, if you think about it that way. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Huh. That's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, you're talking about alignment stuff. I just did a podcast, or dropped a podcast with Colton Green,
hmm
pretty recently, and learned a lot about, kind of. We talked about alignment, getting your shoulders down in the back and how that can change some stuff. But the big thing that I kind of was drilling him on was how can I get my bow to hold steady,
yeah,
and like I've always been pretty good about it, but for whatever reason, the last month and a half, like I've just not been able to do it, and I don't think it's been my form, and I think it was mostly my setup actually, and so I went tweaked a couple things that Colton did, but I wanted to get your thoughts on um, knock height on the concept. What's
hmm
your what's your thoughts there, and where are you running it?
So normally I always have everything on every bow pretty high just because like the way my finger wants to ride up on the shelf, like my index finger gets hit by the fletching if I don't have the D loop pretty high. Which this was the same. It wasn't as high as like other bows, but I ended up this year, I don't know if you've seen it. It's not good, but I put a bunch of putty on my shelf to basically bring my hand a little bit lower to where this like finger doesn't stick up as far.
Okay.
And so I actually have my D loop like dead in the middle of the burger now. But it's still it almost acts as if I have it high just because I shove my hand down. But I feel like it holds a little bit better being in the middle. This is the first time I've ever ran it in the middle on any bow, just because of that. I feel like it holds a little bit better. I don't know that it's that different, but yeah, it seems like on every bow it ends up holding a little bit better, just like a tick high, anyways. And that seems like that's what everybody pretty much does, like especially all the like the pros. I don't know very many pros. I mean, the funny thing is, I think like Bodie runs it dead through the middle, but other than that, I think almost everybody runs it at least like a little bit high. But yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I've always run mine like on my PSC. I always ran it like way above the burger hole, like it was crazy high. And then
same.
the concept, I've run it a lot closer to center. Like I've been between center and maybe a 16th above the top of the burger hole.
Hmm.
Um, just been kind of playing around back and forth, and I don't know. It doesn't seem to make near as much of a difference with the concept as it has the other bows that I've shot. But
And that actually kind of makes sense if you think about it. So like just something if people don't know, like if you measure, like it was a few seasons ago, but I measured like I was shooting a Super X. I think I measured it on the Dominator too. But like if you measure the center of the burger to the center of the throat of the grip on a PSC versus like a Matthews versus a Hoyt, so the PSC and the Matthews are an inch and three quarters apart from those two spots. The Hoyt is like I believe it's 2 inches. So like if you run the Hoyt dead level, that's effectively running it a quarter inch high on the other bows, kind of. So
hmm,
that makes sense that you don't run it aside
yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. I never thought of it that way. And that's
yeah,
really interesting actually. Like, you start talking about bow geometry. I watched a video that I think it was Greg Poole released a couple years ago when the concept first came out, and he was kind of comparing like the bow geometry from the Invicta to the Stratus to the concept, and just how like the the riser length and the amount of deflex, reflex, and stuff affected these last three bow models over last couple years, and it kind of his kind of thesis there was that the concept, the geometry of the concept was a lot more similar to the Invicta, and the Stratus, the geometry of the Stratus was totally different, and that's kind of why the Stratus was less popular of a bow
yeah,
compared to the other two. At least that's what I got from the video. But
yeah, 100%. But yeah, they I don't remember for sure what like the Prevail and the Stratos and the Invicta were, but I do remember like when I was doing all that, I measured a it was a Podium, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Podium X Elite or whatever. And they had everything way higher. So like now the so like a Matthews and a PSE, the burger is the center of the bow. The Hoyt, the burger is actually a quarter inch above center, and then the grip is, whatever that would be, like an inch and three quarters below center. But like the Podium was like the grip was like already an inch or and a half above center or something like that. So like everything was like slid up a lot. But I don't know if that was, you know, main deal or what. But yeah.
yeah, that's okay. So you said the burger is actually a quarter inch above center on the
Yeah, on
concept.
the current weights. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny because I measured that. I don't know what I was doing, but I measured that out, and I'm like, am I measuring something wrong? What's up with this? And I
Yep.
text somebody, and they're like, yeah, it should be in the center. I don't know. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's funny. Okay, so that's good to know that you're getting that too.
Yep.
Um, which concept are you shooting? The 40, 37?
The 40, like every time I always end up trying a 37, but every time I've done that, I've always shot better with the 40, even like if it didn't feel as comfortable, which that was especially true for me on the title. Like the 40 felt like so tall for some reason. It just didn't feel right. And I would just consistently score like 1 to 2 X's better with it on like like a Vegas or whatever. And it was like, okay. And it's kind of the same with this one. Like the 37 feels more comfortable, but the 40 just shoots better for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, as far as axle to axle goes, I've heard there's all kinds of theories and stuff about like finding the perfect axle to axle and string angle and this or that. But what's your draw length?
Like usually around like 31, just because I do like kind of like the lean thing. If I was standing up straight, it'd be more like 30 and a half. But
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always did notice you've got kind of a unique
yeah,
type of form. I've seen. That's
Yeah, unique is a nice way to put it.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, but it works. It works. But
yeah.
yeah, okay. So axle to axle, that's definitely a thing I'm looking over here at my bow right now.
Mhm.
I'm obviously shorter, so I'm like 28.5 inch draw. So
Yeah.
I'm shooting a 37 right now, and I've heard guys telling me to try a 35 too. I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah, it could be.
and speaking of which, bow hunter games, you've heard of that,
Hmm.
right?
Oh
Um,
yeah, 100%.
are you thinking about going, setting up a bow?
Yep, I registered for it, I think the day it like
Oh,
opened
really?
or whatever. Yeah. I
What's
have
your
a
what's
AX3 33 long draw. Because since I am like 31, I can kind of like the shortest that bow goes is like 31 and a quarter, but by the time you put like a normal like target bow holding weight mod or not mods, but like the feet on it, it ends up shortening it up to be like about perfect. But then that way it's like an extra like inch of brace height on that bow.
really okay?
Yeah,
So
like
what?
7.5/8.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Have you shot that bow much yet?
Yeah, a little bit. I shot I don't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before, but I shot like a local state ASA qualifier with it. And I didn't like go into it with a turn like a score like in mind, even though I probably should have. But I shot on 25 targets, which is just like 50-yard max at those. I think I shot 12 up. So not I don't think that's bad, but it's hard to say. Um, I think in the actual tournament, it's probably going to come down to like under 30 or 35 yards. If you hit most of them under 30 or 35 yards with the bow hunting setup, I think you'll probably win the tournament, honestly. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Like nobody's going to be, or there won't be as many 12 shot at like, 45, 50 yards or whatever, just because we don't have a lens or anything. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm working on my setup, and um, I'm not really expecting to, um, go shoot a crazy score with it either. Like I'm pretty much just going for fun, just so I can say I went to the first bow hunter games.
Yeah.
But yeah, what pin size are you running? Because I just ordered a sight the other day, and I think I got 10 thousandths. Is that
I think that's going to be the play. I don't know. I just don't know if you can go any bigger with that on like a boat, like since you don't have lens. I I run 10,000s on like my regular like 3D setup. I was thinking about trying
oh
a 15 just to like you can run it a little bit dimmer and so it should starburst like a hair less, which I know you and Colton talked about that a little bit on your podcast. I was going to try some of what he said, but and Colton's a great guy by the way, um but yeah, I can't imagine that bigger than a 10 would make any sense on the bow hunting setup just because no lens. Like it almost it covers so much already. So
yeah
I just don't know how you go bigger on that, but maybe.
yeah that's a good point. And what about stabilizer setup? I know they were tweaking rules and stuff lately. I know with like the SOS system and stabilizer length, but do you know what the rules are on stabilizer length and all that?
Yeah, from the front of the bow, like the front bushing, the front bar can be 18 inches with weights, and so I'm gonna run like halcyons, just like I have for my target setup. But and then I think back bar is 15-inch with weights, but it's from the point of attachment. So I believe that means from like where it hooks up to the quick disconnect, not the quick disconnect from the bow measurement. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know for a fact.
Okay, yeah, that's what other rules are there? I know there's no lens.
Hmm.
Are you allowed a clarifier?
Yeah, you can have stuff in your peep, just not in your scope. Which I was actually going to try that because I feel like my vision has gotten a little bit worse over the last few years. So I'm going to try like a clarifier or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 246 arrows. Has to be can't be a blade rest. 35-inch axle to axle. I think that's most of the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. Oh wait, slider sight. That's why I just bought
Yeah.
a slider sight because I didn't own a slider. I always hunt with a fixed pin, like a 5 pin, 7 pin sight. So I ordered a slider.
What'd you
'Cause
get?
I got the driver,
It's a
um,
good one.
Excel driver, and I've never been much for a slider sight for hunting. Like I said, I use a multi-pin sight, but I think that the The driver's pretty good. I know the landslide was really popular, and I guess the driver just kind of upgraded that a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, and I've always liked Excel sites, so I figured without doing going too crazy in a deep dive, that the driver would be a good one. But
Yeah. I think it might actually be one of the best. That's what I'm running too. The only problem with a lot of the sliders for this kind of stuff is like you have a circle wheel and the tape's on a wheel, and then you have this like indicator that's like way raised off of the tape. And so like if you just like look at it at a different angle, it like says a different yardage. So I was like, I need something flat, and then even that's kind of hard to read. Even on the driver, it's like flip my rangefinder over or something like that to get it like actually precise. But yeah, that's the main problem. Is like the wheels are like kind of goofy.
yeah, that's a good point. I never even thought about that. Now that you say that, but I think yeah, I know there's plenty of sliders that have the tape on the wheel, and yeah, that would not be good for this. Now
Yeah.
that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, I guess the driver it just has like a regular sight tape on the side, and I know it's got like, I think I just got a single pin, so it'll just have like one indicator coming over to the
Yep.
tape. But yeah, that's gonna be kind of what I'm doing. As far as scope, I got the AVX 41 with it, and then like I said, single pin. I don't know if I'm gonna get like sunshades and all that stuff. I probably should. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if that matters or not with it, like without a lens. Good question.
yeah, and I wonder if a filter would be allowed.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah,
You might have to, like the hive is yellow or something like that, or
yeah, that's
yeah.
that's kind of been my new thing since London. I got that, and it's like, whoa, I can actually see now. So,
Yeah.
um, I wonder if that's gonna be a good idea. But like for my bow hunter game setup, like I'm just gonna run one stabilizer out the front. Like I'm not even gonna do anything fancy. Like
Yeah.
I'm just
Fair
using
enough.
my regular hunting bow, which is as old as I am. It's
I
a
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, it's a Matthews Monster, which I love it. Like I would not hunt with any other bow. And I've got like a couple of them, so I'm just setting one up for the bow hunter games, and that's what I'm gonna run. But like I said, I'm just gonna be there to be there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you could do well. You're a good shooter. But I get that. Like, I hope it's I hope it becomes what it can be because, like you said, it'd be cool just to even go there and for the first one if it becomes what it might. Even if it doesn't, I guess it'd still be fun. But yeah, it has a lot of potential. To just hope it actually works out, right? But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I'm a tack shooter too, so um, I've been going to tacks for the last several years, few years at least, and tack it's totally different from any competition. Have you ever been to a tack?
I haven't yet. There's one in South Dakota which isn't like super far, but I've been wanting to go.
It's it's quite the experience. Like it is the most just like logistically is the most well-run archery event I've been to. Maybe next to the Lancaster Classic. That's a pretty well-run shoot. But like compared to all the other organizations out there, like TAC really does a great job at like making sure the courses everything runs smoothly. There's so many vendors there. The fact that it's not competition, like everybody's just there to have a good time. It's just got a little bit different mood to it. And I think that ASA hopping on that bandwagon is a good move for them. Um, I think that'll be good. And then ASA adding in the prize money too is going to be interesting because I've one thing that I learned was all these years of tack shooting, like super far targets, like crazy uphill downhill shots, like all that stuff has made me a better shooter. I think just from shooting the tack, especially when I go to like field nationals a couple weeks ago in Yankton.
Mhm.
I went there and everybody's complaining about the uphill downhills and like it was a really hard course, but I'm like this is comparable to an average tack, is what I was kind of running through my head. So I'm like it made it feel a lot less intimidating. Um, but yeah, so I think that having the TAC experience is going to help me a lot. Like at this ASA, I definitely think I could be really competitive if I really wanted to, and maybe next year I'll set up a bow to be really competitive. But like I said,
Yeah.
I'm going for a good time this year. I think it'll be fun. Is it? It's down in Tennessee, right? So
Yeah.
not too far
Yeah.
of a drive for me. Maybe
Yeah.
6, 8 hours.
Yeah. Close to Nashville, so you could do, sightseeing or whatever too. But yeah, it's a good place, good location. But
Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
point. I think it's only Ace said I think it's only about a half hour from his house, like at a state park or
Oh,
something down
really?
there. I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
right there. But um, yeah, so it'll be a good event. Um, I think it's at like is it the beginning of August, mid August, something like that.
August 20th through 23rd. The only reason I remember is because my birthday is August 23rd. So it'd be
Oh,
really nice to win 60K on my birthday.
yeah,
But
that
that's
would be really nice.
but
Yeah,
that might be a
absolutely.
little hard with Kyle Douglas and others. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who all signed up, but it sounds like there's a lot of good shooters going to be there.
Yep. I would
But
hope so.
yeah, yeah, that'll make it more fun. But yeah, like I said, I think the long range stuff's going to be fun. How far out does the money class go as far as
I think it's
yardage?
only 80. I think it's
Oh,
only 80.
okay. Okay,
Which would
so
be fun if it was 100 just to say it's 100, but I guess it's whatever. If it's 80, it's 80.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
What's the
So,
farthest you've shot at attack?
um at
How far do
attack,
they go?
um I know they've had like 125-yard targets. And then I think there's a moose like all the way out in the field, and we all stepped like 10, 15 yards behind the stake and shot it. And so that would have made it like 135, maybe something like that. So yeah, there's really long shots at tack, but like that's when you're just hoping to hit the vital section.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, so that's kind of that's kind of what I'm thinking. But that's gonna be fun. And then right now I took my backup bow and overhauled it like the last 2 days, and like went through changed my um, what do you call it, the cable stops, the
Hmm.
stabilizers, changed it all, trying to get it to hold better, and it's definitely working. But then I've got some more 3.2s on order, and I'm going to be building those, which I'm going to build them the same as ones I have now. But tuning, let's talk about that. Give me a little refresher on what I need to be doing. I've not really done anything except paper tuning so far. Um, what's my next step?
I mean, for me, I usually just shoot and just see if like it seems like there's a weird thing going on with the group. Um, I'm having to do that a lot with this current bow just because, I did all my testing kind of with the title. And so I had like kind of what arrow it liked figured out on that. I have an idea of what this one likes. It seems like it likes a little stiffer, but that might just be first impression kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's like if you just feel like there's a big up and down movement or something like that, I mean, if the paper tear was actually good, I mean, just move it up and down a little bit, or you could even try a different blade. But it feels like there's a big left and right thing, and just move the rest, not slam, but move the rest a little bit one way and move it the other way and see if it gets better. If it doesn't, then maybe it's like the arrow is needs a different length, or you could try cutting it shorter, or going to a weaker spine or something like that, but or stiffer, I guess. But that's that's kind of the basic way. I do kind of want to try, like Matthias was on some podcast. I think Mike was on some podcast too, and they both said they actually do it bare shaft now, which I've never really noticed a big difference doing with bare shaft tuning. But they said they shoot a bare shaft at 50 meters, and if it hits like left 7 area, that's like where it usually shoots the best for them with the bare shaft at 50 meters. And
Is that
so, I mean, I'll give it a shot, but
is that both of those guys with the
yeah.
PSE and the Hoyt?
Yeah, yeah. I think Mike said it first, and then Matthias was on some podcast, and he said, like, I heard Mike said it, so I tried it, and it shoots pretty good. So, like, yeah, that's a good reason. But yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never. I guess I have done some bare shaft, and I don't know. I've always like. I did the group tuning last summer. I think I tried line tuning. Where you put a piece of tape on the
yeah,
target and then horizontal and shoot at that. See if you're hitting high, low. I did some of that and tweaked the rest, but it almost seems like haphazard. Um,
well,
you
yeah,
know,
it can drive you insane. Which I guess that would be the advantage of the bear shaft too, is like you at least have a reference of where things are. Like paper tune won't really show you exactly where you have the rest. Um, but yeah, group tuning is like drives you insane. But you can like really find like a magic spot where it's just like, why is this shooting better? Like it just, and usually it's not tuned. Like it's, tail, whatever. And that's usually where it shoots the best. But I don't know why.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And I heard someone was saying like you think of a tuned arrow, like I picture one that's flying like dead straight, and then these guys talking about hitting seven ring left, and other guys will say like, yeah, you can watch some of these 50-meter shooters, and the arrow's going down to the target sideways. Like
Yeah.
um, that's kind of what blows my mind is how an arrow that's going crooked can be shooting the best. But now that I think about you say the seven ring left, it seems like every time I go to bear shaft tune an arrow. That's like always where it lands. Like I can never get it to hit
Really?
on the right side. Yeah, I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's somehow like I'm torquing the bow or what. But
It could be a little bit. I'm trying to remember which way torque usually makes it go. Yeah, it would, I think, make it that way a little bit more. So like, I mean, if you really wanted it to hit on the right, you just go stiffer. Because left is like if you cut an arrow down shorter, it'll go more tail left, which will make the bear shaft hit to the right. But it's just depending on how stiff you might need to go if you want it to get the tune. But which is also like, I think Mike torques his bow a lot. I mean, Matthias definitely torques his bow a lot. But Mike is only like, I think 29.5 inch draw, and he shoots like 350 spine arrows. And I think it's just because he torques so much, he makes it more stiff to get it like back into tune kind of thing.
yeah, I've also heard that Mike's like got his cams shimmed like way to the right. I believe
Does he?
like he might
I
even
know he
have.
used to,
Yeah, I
for
think he
sure.
had like custom shims made or something at one point to get it like all the way over to the right. And
Damn.
that might have been a result like of all the weight that he's got on that one side. Um,
Yeah,
but
probably.
yeah, I'm not sure, but that's interesting. So, like when I'm starting out, um, and I'm always like hesitant to be cutting arrows and trying them stiffer or weaker because I don't know. I'm just
Run out of
like
air.
yeah, I run out of arrows. I'm like, man, I don't know what's the best way to do this. But I think right now I've got them cut longer. I haven't broken my points yet, so I probably need to um, try them at I'm at whatever they came factory. It might be 120 grains. Um, so I think I
The
can break it.
3.2s.
Yeah, with 3.2s.
Yeah, I think they start at 120. All the
Yeah,
Easton ones, I think.
yeah. Okay, so I might try like breaking those off, making it a little bit stiffer, and then shortening it maybe. But I also one thing I talked about with Colton was um, the torque tuning with my rest.
Mhm.
The next thing I'm going to do over the next couple of days is work on that. And there's not a whole lot of movement. I'm using a Hamsky hybrid on both my bows, and there's not a whole lot of front to back movement with that rest. Like
Yeah.
from what I understand, and I haven't seen it yet, but I guess the R7 has more movement. And then, am I right there?
It does. You, the only thing that sucks is like the tech bar. So if you did want to run the R7 and you wanted to get it like back, you'd have to use like the regular side mount and then stack those like little, plate things. But yeah, the tech mount or the tech bar or whatever just gets in the way. But yeah, of getting
Yeah,
back very far.
yeah. That's kind of what I run into is the riser gets to be an issue. But I did hear that the new AAE drop away has more adjustment, like rate where the blade is attached to the
Mhm.
rod, I guess that rotates. So the rod you can slide it in and out, and that helps kind of get around that tech riser. But that's something I'm thinking about getting is one of those too. But
Yeah. Have you torque tuned before?
I've I can say I've tried it, and I pretty much just went out there and like torqued it this way. Okay, hit to the right. Torqued it that way. Hit to the left. Moved my rest in and out. Torqued it again. Didn't see any difference and said, okay, I'm just gonna keep
Oh,
shooting how
really?
it is. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I wasn't doing something right, but and it's been a while too, so I need to check it again. But that's probably what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days. And if I can't get it to move with my rest, I could play with my sight a little bit, but I don't want to play with it too much because I've got my dot size and housing size and everything perfect. So it's like I really don't want to move that in and out too much. But
Yeah, it sucks to have to mess with that. But where do you have it like in and out on the site?
I've got the 6-inch bar in the last hole, fully extended.
Oh, okay. That's where mine torque tuned. But yeah, like if I had the sight all the way out, I could have the rest. Like I was shooting the R7 like briefly, but it could be that the 40 is like a little different than the 37 in torque tuning. But for me, if I had the R7 like integrated on the riser, if I had the sight all the way out, it was torque tuned. Yeah.
Okay, and where would that put like the where the launcher contacts the arrow, like
It
relative to the back of the riser, like a little bit
it was
forward?
I think just barely in front of the edge of the riser, but I could be wrong.
Okay,
I guess the R7 it would have been a little bit in front of there. But yeah.
okay, that's
Now I
interesting.
have the sight in a little bit more, and then I have like a freak show like almost as far back as I can get it. Not like around the tech bar, but like you flip the like sling blade thing, and then you can mount it back farther. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, and I should have done this before field because I realized when I got there, because I've never really run a target bow uphill downhill. So like when I went to the field and I was still good at shooting uphill downhill, but I didn't know how the bow was going to work because I'm used to shooting a hunting bow attack. And I realized that when I shoot like downhill, my stabilizer torques the bow to the right, like the weight from the sidebar like pulls down and torques the bow one way, and then same thing uphill, it'll torque it the other way. And I realized like um, I was aiming like a little bit off when I was shooting uphill versus downhill, left
mm,
and right wise because of the torque was making my impact change a little bit. So I should have done that before, but now I know. Um, and as far as torque tuning goes, like how close are you able to get your bow? Like when you torque it all the way one direction, like at 50 meters, let's say.
hitting the arrows like it'll group the same spot pretty much. I like it like that. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I think uphill downhill, like you're saying, it probably makes the most difference. But just because you can't even feel necessarily, like you can try to correct it back or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but you're probably not actually, at the right spot. But um, something of note, like maybe you could try if you don't end up like, the torque tune doesn't work out or whatever. This is a George, or I heard it from George Riles, is he will take like the front bar. I don't know if you know this already, and he'll take like the down angle and he'll angle it slightly off to where like your back bar's, this way. The front bar, he'll angle it instead of straight, he'll angle it like this a little bit. So then when you go downhill, this is pulling one way, but this is kind of like canceling it out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Something to try.
Yeah, that makes sense. It seems like I did that one time on an indoor bow. I don't even remember why I did that, but yeah, I never thought to do it uphill downhill. That's a good way to do it. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's something to play with. That's interesting. Um, yeah, plenty of options there. Plenty of options. But yeah, as far as 50-meter goes, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between like when I run my bow lighter weight, it seems to shoot like the best. But then I get out in the wind and it starts blowing everywhere. So I'm trying to find the happy medium between too heavy and too light for wind. What's your experience there?
I always end up heavy. Like at least like ever since I started like punching or command shooting or whatever you want to call it. Like but even when I was pulling through I had like a fairly heavy setup, but it does seem like for the most part that's who does well at the world archery stuff. I mean, Mike is good for a lot of reasons, but that definitely helps him, in the win and stuff like that. Matthias, you would say is probably like the second best at that game right now, and his is not that heavy. I think he has like 16 on the front, so it's not like you have to run a ton of weight. But for me, yeah, I don't know. There is definitely two, thoughts to it because if it's really heavy, it's just hard for the wind to move it. But if it's really light, it's almost like you get moved out and then you can move back real quick. But then you have to like really get it sent very fast after it gets back, especially if it's really gusty. But yeah, to me, I just run it heavy and then try to push and pull really hard and hopefully don't get blown around like that much. But yeah, be patient.
Yeah. Okay. So, you said you're a puncher, command shooter.
Yep.
explain to me your shot process. Why punch? Why command? Like, why is that? Why is that the most accurate for you?
For me, um, as soon as I tried it, well, so I shouldn't say that actually. So when I first tried it, I saw like Jimmy and Kyle and all these people doing really well with it, and I was like, dude, why can't I do that? Like that makes it look so easy. And I tried it with the thumb button. I like couldn't do it forever with the thumb button. Like I would just have like a massive delay between like seeing it in the middle and like hitting it, and it would, I'd come off the wall and do weird stuff. But I never really shot an index release. Like I started out with a hinge, not shooting it like properly, but I started out with a hinge. And so I was like, well, let me just try like an index release. And it was like magic. It was like the first 3 weeks, I think everybody says this, like Kyle, the first 2 weeks when he started punching, was just like, he was saying like he could just pick the hole it was going to go into. I felt like that the first like 2 or 3 weeks that I started. It was just like I would just sit there at 50 yards and be like, I'm just gonna wait until it's like dead center of the X, and then boop, it's an X. It's like at 50 yards. It's like what? Like on a Vegas face. It's just like
Wow.
ridiculous. It hasn't been like that since, but that's probably like your brain getting used to it a little bit. But it's for me, I think the main thing was it's almost like a control thing. Like it kind of freaks my brain out to be like, all right, like if I'm pulling through, it's like, all right, don't leave the middle, like, which is not good. Obviously, that your brain thinks that, like, you need to overcome that. But that's like kind of what my brain is like saying, like, don't dip, or don't leave the middle. Like I'm afraid the whole time of it leaving the middle. But if I'm punching, it's like, oh, like it's not even a worry because like it doesn't matter if it leaves the middle. I'll just wait for it to come back in, and then I'll hit it with the when it's in the middle. But for me, that's like I've had to adapt my shot process. Like when I first started doing it, I didn't really have to think about it. Now I think it's just probably the demons or whatever you want to say have gotten to where I have to think about it a little bit. It's mainly just like let it sit in the middle for a few seconds, and then like just start pulling, like making sure I'm actually pulling still, and then I want it to sit there for at least like a second, not like a half a second, but like literally like a full second, just like okay, like even if it's moving like this, like my nose is in the middle, it just like all right, now I can send it. Like it has to be there for a second, like kind of stop wobbling, stop doing anything, and then I'll just hit it.
Yeah. So what's your trigger setup? Like how do you hit it, I guess?
Uh, I mean, just that's another thing I guess too. Like I have to think about like I have to preload it. Like I have to have my like which I mean you should do this anyways, but I can't be like Jimmy where it's like bam. But yeah, I have to like set it on there and then I start like the pulling and then just waiting for it to sit there for a second and then just like a gentle tap ideally if it goes well.
Yeah. How would you I mean, how heavy is your trigger? Like pretty
Very
light?
light.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost as light as you can get it. Like Curtis and like Curtis Broadneck's and Robert Householder's releases, they're a little bit lighter, but they're like, I don't know if you can get a release lighter than they have their releases. Mine is very, very light. I can feel like my skin touch the trigger and like be on the trigger, but that's pretty much it. Like if you felt more than that, it would go off. So
Hmm.
it's pretty light.
Wow. Yeah, I've my release is set pretty light too. I mean that's kind of where I'm at. I'm probably just slightly heavier than that, but it's kind of like, and I'm shooting, a surprise shot. So like I get on there, and actually, just the last couple of days, I've been trying like wrapping my thumb all the way in front of the thumb trigger. And are you familiar with the Nock On sells a smooth operator thumb peg? I don't know if you've seen it. It's
I don't
like
think so.
this. I'm trying to picture like what this would be like. Picture like a paper towel roll, and the middle is like smaller diameter than the ends, and so it's kind of like shaped
Oh,
like
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
that kind of. But it's small diameter. It's a really small diameter peg, so I can wrap my finger around it really well. And I set my trigger really light, but when I pull on it from that like front angle with my finger wrapped all the way around it, like it makes it feel like a heavier trigger because you're not going straight into the spring on it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I've been trying, and um, I don't know. Like I've shot it before where I'll bring it down onto the target, and then I'll aim, and then I'll bring my finger onto the trigger, and then it's like I'm not punching it, but it's my fingers are not on the trigger for very long. It's just kind of keep moving through it real quick, and eventually it'll go, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I don't know. I need to experiment with it a little bit more. But I guess that's kind of what archery is. Just experiment this, try that. But
Unfortunately, yeah. I
yeah,
wish it was a little bit more like this is the way to do it, and that's how it is. But it definitely not archery.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. But yeah, so there's plenty to play with. Always 24/7. But I think I think one thing, and I was just talking about this. I did like a I don't know 15 20 minute live stream yesterday. I haven't done a live stream in so long. It was on Instagram, and I just shot a 300 round in my yard. I've not shot a Vegas face for a long time, but
Yep.
probably since Vegas actually. But um, I did that and I live streamed it, and I said I'm shooting 2315s for this indoor season. Like last year, I shot at the beginning of last season. I got some 2712s. They were the probably the most like forgiving indoor arrow I had shot up to that point. Like I had shot other 27s, and those seemed to be like the most consistent. I don't know, even though they were like crazy stiff, they still seem to shoot like really good. And then I got some 2315s, and I remember the night that I set those up, um, I had screwed something up with my bow, like the bow itself. Like I don't know if my tiller tune was off or my stabilizer or something, but I remember I was fighting the bow, shooting all night, and like this league night I went to. But the arrows were shooting so good still. I was still hitting middle, like it was not breaking anywhere close to the middle, and it was just still going right in the X. And I'm like, the bow's not shooting good, but these arrows are. That was the first thing I remembered. And then I went and shot those arrows for USA Indoor Nationals at Lancaster Pro Shop, and shot like probably that was probably a personal best. Like it was two for a big competition, like 228x rounds with those 2315s, and I'm like, man, these things are shooting so good. And then for some reason, I decided to switch back to 2712s for Vegas, and they still shot great, like better than most arrows. But those 2315s, like looking back, those are looking pretty tasty to me. So I think I'm gonna try those out again for this winter. Um, it won't be more than a couple months before I set up my indoor bow. But what time of year do you normally start that?
Um, I mean, pretty much just right after like the last thing outdoor season, but like shooting it like heavy, um, probably like a month or two right before whatever the first one is, which is usually Hoosier 690 for me. I think
Hmm.
that's in Indiana, something like that.
Yep.
So that's close to you too. I think yeah, you usually go to that, but yeah, you did
Yeah.
shoot good at internationals. I remember seeing that because it was like I don't know if you beat me or if you were like 1 point away or something like that, but yeah, you shot good.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely wouldn't be afraid to shoot those indoors for sure, even for Vegas. Like even though you know, it feels like you're at a disadvantage. I keep like bringing back to Mikey or something like that, but that is like exactly what Mikey did. Is in Lancaster a few years ago, he did not shoot like Mikey shoots like 600 with the 23s like at all these world archery shoots like they're free or something. Like I don't know if he's at 15 or what he's at, but went to Lancaster and it was like still a good score, but he could easily shoot a 600 like every day it seems like. So and then in Vegas he switched back to the 23s and shot like 88 or 89 X's that year, and it's like okay, yeah, 23s. And I think he made it. I think he made the podium that year in Vegas. So it's like 23s. Like if it hits the middle, it hits the middle, right? Especially if it's like that much more forgiving. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, you might get. I mean, what is that? The difference between 23 and 27, 464. So like 1/32 of an inch on either side of the arrow is what you're gaining. I
yeah.
feel like the forgiveness you would get is far outweighs that. But yeah, so 2315s. That's where I'm going to be at. And I've got a dozen and a half, so I got plenty to play with. It was funny, like for several years, like I shot this one dozen of some kind of carbon 27, and I only had like half a dozen. And I shot those for a long time, and then I finally got like it might have been the 2712. So I'm like, oh man, having a full dozen of indoor arrows is so nice.
Yep.
But um, yeah, so um, yeah, I think the 2315s are going to be the move for this indoor season.
Mhm.
But yeah, what's your preferred indoor setup? I know it's the middle of outdoor season, but
Yeah.
I'm
That's
kind
all
of
right.
thinking about it now.
Yeah. So normally I'd always also like 2712, and then I'd kind of messed with different 23s. This year at Indoor Nationals, like USA Indoor Nationals, I shot, I'm pretty sure 2318s, which before had not worked well for me because they are stupid heavy. I think is the main reason. But for some reason, they were shooting pretty good out of that bow. Um, but this year, I was kind of, I mean, this is the first year I've shot Hoyt and like fully went to Hoyt. And I was kind of struggling to get a 27 to shoot how I knew it should have. Like, I felt like the bow was aiming a lot better. And I ended up shooting Super Drive 25s for most of the season, which I know is like a little goofy, but it's not. It's like you said with the 23, you're giving up, a 32nd of an inch. The Super Drive 25s are actually like a 25 and a half. So like I was really giving up like a very small amount, and I felt like they were way more forgiving. But I definitely need to get a 27 setup rolling. Like if the 25s or 23s or whatever shoot that much better, then like I'll do that. I have no problem doing that. But it's always like, if you can get a 27 setup shooting that well, then you definitely should, just because, you gain that extra, that line. But yeah, for me, it had always been 27, 12, 31 inches, 200 to 250 in the front. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I don't know. I've always, well, I guess I always used to shoot carbon arrows for indoor, but I switched to aluminum, and it's like I don't know.
they're
I
very
just
consistent.
yeah, I like it more. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to play with a little bit, and I might set up the 23s and be like, oh no, they're not shooting good this time. I need to go back to the
Yeah, they could.
27s. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you run a bow shop in Indiana, so you're working on, or I guess you work at one. What's kind of
Yeah.
your day to day there?
Yeah, I work archery field and sports in Altoona, Iowa, which is like Des Moines area. But yeah, so we're open Tuesday through Friday, 12 to 8, and then Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 6. And we're closed Monday. I work, Tuesday through Friday every week, and then we kind of trade weekends. So it depends on tournaments and stuff. And like my boss goes on a lot of hunts, as you can see the gator above me. And then if I like turn the camera around, you see a Cape Buffalo and a bunch of New Zealand like stags and stuff. But so that's the main reason I work here. I like working at a bow shop, but definitely the reason I stay here is the flexibility to go to tournaments and stuff because there'd be no way to really get any job that could let me. I mean, if you worked in the industry, maybe, like these people that travel to the shoots in the trailers, but it's pretty hard to get that much time off work. So, I take time to go to shoots and then he takes time to go to hunt and it works out.
Yeah,
But
perfect. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And so you're working. Um, I mean, you're working on bow hunters' bows all the time. Are you a bow hunter? Do you bow hunt at all?
not really, which is really bad because I live in Iowa and I work at a bow shop. But this year, I mean, I have a bow hunting bow now for that bow hunter game, so I have to go hunt. I've hunted before. It's just like I've never had that big of a desire to do it. And so, and I don't know why, but I started in Target. Like I started in NASP actually. So, National Archery in the Schools program. Did you get your start in NASP too, or did you shoot NASP?
I never did shoot an asp. No.
Really? But, yeah, that's just how I started. And then, it was like, I don't know, the hunting just didn't really appeal to me, but I don't know. I know it's very uncommon just because everybody is it's usually the exact opposite. It's like, would you rather shoot or like never shoot a tournament again or never hunt again? They're like, never shoot a tournament again. So, and I'm like, I don't know. But
That's funny. Yeah. So you got in through NASP, and then what? You just been shooting target, stuck with it ever since then.
pretty much. So I started in NASP in 10th grade. That was the first time I ever picked up a bow. And then that summer, the same coach, so like the coach for the team was our shop teacher or my shop teacher. And he was like, we have 4-H, if you want to do it over the summer or whatever. So I did that. And we didn't have like a ton of kids shooting for like to make the national shooting sports team or whatever. So I did that first year. I got very I got my I was gonna say my shit rocked. I don't know if you have to cut that out, but it was very bad. That year, actually, funny enough, like I look back at the results, and Jacob Pettit was the one who won that year. I don't know if you know him. I'm sure you do, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next year, I went for recurve because it was you can go like once for every discipline or whatever. So I went for compound the first year, went for recurve the second year, and I actually did well there. I won, which, like I said, there's not like a ton of people that go to that one, but I won the field day, and then because they do field, target, and then 3D. And I won the field day. I got third in target, and I think I got like third overall. And I think I would have done even better, but on my last or on the 3D, I freaking missed. But it's judging with a recurve. It was like insanely hard. I was actually impressed that I didn't miss like more than that. But yeah, but that's how I got started. After that, I just like kept going. You know, you get on YouTube, you see like the Vegas shoot, you see Lancaster, and you're like, I kind of wanted to, be a pro. I was like, that looks like fun. Like that'd be cool to shoot your bow for a living. That's not what I do yet, but hopefully one day. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we hop off here, what's the piece of advice for somebody who wants to stay in archery as their career? Like, what's the best route? Is it to try to be a pro, make money that way, or is it to get a job working for a manufacturer or a bow shop or something like that?
I mean, I guess that would be the most practical thing is the bow shop thing. But if you don't want to go that, you know, route, I guess, and like have to have like a day job, what you were doing is way better idea, like the social media way. Because I don't know, like there's not that many, especially in the target world, that really do any kind of social media or like YouTube stuff. And so I feel like there's a big gap there. If somebody like took a hold of that, you could probably make a living doing that. Like not necessarily from like the YouTube AdSense or whatever, but just from like sponsors or whatever. Just kind of like the crispy kind of way, but he kind of doesn't do target anymore. So I think there's kind of a hole right there that could be filled. Um, but my advice besides that is just, I mean, obviously, like remember to have fun. That can be very hard to do sometimes if you are actually trying to, be a pro or, just give everything to try to win. That can be super hard to remember is like why you're doing it and that like, oh yeah, I did this. I started this because it was fun. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best piece of advice is like just try to remember like why you're doing it. If you remember why you're doing it and you actually want to do it, eventually it'll happen, I think. But
Yeah, that's a good point. I should probably get a sign and hang it on my wall somewhere. It says like I'm doing this to have fun. But
yeah,
I feel like I'm always
yeah.
having fun though. I really enjoy having these podcasts and shooting and stuff, so I have a good time with it. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on today, Roland. It's been a great episode. Look forward to seeing you at the next event, and yeah, I mean we'll see you at all the events.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, is there any way if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Instagram and Facebook, I'm both at Roland Deason. So RolandDeason. And then if you're in the Des Moines area or in Iowa, stop by the shop. But Archery Field and Sports. So
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. I appreciate it, Roland. We'll see you on the
yeah,
next
thank you.
episode.
Have a good one.